The minute that you take responsibility for the shit that you do, you take all of your fucking power back.
The problem
what?
is-
My house is clean because I like it that way. And I make it that way.
And the problem is that I want to talk about composure, man.
I want to talk about composure too. I think that's cool.
I think there's a lot of dudes going through a lot of stress, especially with the current event of the world.
I think it's easy to lose composure.
I think it's easier to, lose composure, but also get caught up in everything you're doing and not realize you're losing composure.
I think it's easy to be aware and say, hey, I'd like to be improving. I'd like to be doing certain things. And then so unconsciously fall back into habits of just by default programming and, just automatically responding to stuff based on previous ways of doing things.
How do you define composure?
Well, you can be composed. I mean, to be composed, you are, in my mind, you're thinking before you're reacting. You're thinking before you're responding. You're choosing with intention how to be, how to handle.
You're thinking clearly with a clear mind on a level that is calm. You're not bringing emotion into a decision or thought process, I guess is how I would define it.
So in any situation where there's a heightened level of emotion, how do you manage your emotions safely or in a healthy way?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you can
He talked for 80%. He talked for 80% of the last podcast. Now he's just going to toss fucking bullshit questions.
You can handle your emotion, and that's the thing. You can still, you're obviously still going to respond. You're still going to be involved in the situation, in the conversation, in whatever activity is going on, and you can respond emotionally without thinking. Right, and I would argue that would be uncomposed. Or you can still respond and take your emotions into account and say, hey, I feel this way based on what information I just received. How do I want to respond? Do I want to, get pissed off about it? Or do I want to say, hey, is getting pissed off serving me?
Yeah, I think that's...
Well, and sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does, for sure. However, make that a conscious decision.
Right. I think in terms of the cliche Kyle thing. Just getting mad at your girlfriend and punching a hole in the wall. That's effective sometimes.
Kyle's and Karen's, hey?
It's not good. I'm not arguing for it at all, but sometimes when you want to get your way, throwing a temper tantrum is effective.
Well, look at it.
When you don't get your way, though.
When a kid's growing up, I mean, you guys both have kids. I don't have a kid, so it's difficult for me to say, how that feels like as a parent. Or there's a lot of people listening to this that have kids. Kids throw temper tantrums all the time. Adults throw temper tantrums all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're the same thing. They just get bigger, louder, and more violent.
You know what's interesting? When my son has a temper tantrum, he's only had one with me. It was to the point I was like, okay, dude, go to your room. I've had enough. Simple as that. Never did it again. Not once ever. People, and I know it's probably easy for me to say, but people that give into those temper tantrums, that's how you end up with adults that throw temper tantrums, or adults that think that's the way to get their way. And I'm not sure how well it serves somebody to throw a temper tantrum.
It gets immediate attention. However, the attention that you're going to receive is probably not going to create the desired
It's going to be more
result.
negative than positive, 100%.
Right? Because let's put a scenario out there, right? I mean, you are at work, right, and maybe you were gunning for a promotion and you didn't get it. Right? Maybe someone else got it instead of you. Your two choices there, I mean, maybe your immediate reaction is to say, well, fuck that, why did this person get it? I deserve this, and you make a scene about it, right? You're probably not going to be in talks for the next promotion because of the way that it was just handled, right? People like to see responsibility. People like to see, that calm, cool, collected, right? Or, if you're vibing on a chick and she doesn't vibe with you. Right? It's easy to say, well, you know what, I'm out, screw this. And in reality, you've just closed the door on everything.
Guys that try to guilt women into sleeping with them.
Can we address the bullshit energy that's in this room right now?
We're talking about composure. We're being composed.
Fuck all you hoes.
Being composed is
I don't. This is
being monotone.
I fucking hate this right now.
You can be composed and still energetic.
I fucking hate this right now.
Composed and still have personality.
This is annoying.
I got a story to share, and that might help.
Your story.
That might help. Okay. So, since the very beginning of this whole COVID-19 thing, I've been doing my own deep dives into all kinds of things, whether that's reading research papers or following what's going on in the news and shit, and I'm of the firm stance that it's an absolute hoax, and I just can't wait until that reaches the media cycle. So I've refused to wear a mask up until very, very, very recently. And my compliance with it now is that I'm getting denied basic access to my essential services that I need, and so you know what? Fine. Fuck it, I'll play ball. It all started when I went to Walmart for the very last time. I was at Walmart, we were doing our shopping, I wasn't wearing a mask. The security guard at the front stopped me and said, you need to wear a mask. And I said, no, I have a medical exemption, thank you. And I carried about my business. There was no issue. As I'm going through the store, we're finishing up, I get near the end, and there was a department manager who was doing some stock stuff and saw me, and she stopped me and said, you have to wear a mask. And I said, no, I talked to the security guard, I have a medical exemption, I'm fine. And then she goes, and then she disappeared. She went around the thing, got on her phone, called the store manager came up. Now, in this moment, I have a million ways that I could have reacted to that. My first and initial instinct is just to fucking lose it. Throw shit, fucking knock the cart over. Like, I'm so fucking pissed off at the audacity of these people, and that's just my own fucking opinion. Instead, what happened was a cool, calm, collect conversation between me and the manager. She had told me, well, it's a store-wide policy now that we're just not letting anybody in. We have alternatives. If you prefer, you can, pick up at the curbside, whatever. You can order online and all the shit. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. Thank you for telling me about that. We're almost done here. If you wouldn't mind, we just got 2 things to grab. We're out of here in 1.5 minutes, and we'll be out of your hair, no problem. She's like, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much for being cool about it, and then off we went.
Mm-hmm. So that takes 2 people.
Right.
Being
cool. She could have very easily been rude or whatever about it, and
you would have been able to. You would have probably responded differently. Mm-hmm. If and that's so cool because it takes 2 people to have respectful, responsible interaction. When there's a problem, a problem. I'm going to say, right? I mean,
let's call it an issue.
Issue.
Yeah. There's no problems.
No, and so that's like, and for me, I mean, I have, I played ball with the mask thing. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, if I want to do things, hey, this is where we're at right now. Yeah. Ultimately, I'm not the one calling the shots on nationwide policies, on citywide policies. Like, if I were, cool, I'd have some input on that. I'm not, right? So based on that fact alone, it is my responsibility to either play by the rules that people have put in place or not participate.
Okay, 2 things. We'll start with Steve first. Playing by the rules, you can and doing that and realizing that you can only control what you can control.
For sure.
Right? You can only comply with what you need to comply with because you can't control it anyway, and you need to do these things. So I'm just going to do what they say because there's no other choice for me. I'm not making the rules, right? Which is good to recognize and say, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to play ball. The second thing is, I have a very short fuse. So in the Devon situation in Walmart, I know the first 3 or 4 sentences out of my mouth would have been composed. But then if I got pushback, and goes to my thinking, if I got pushback on my logical thinking and an explanation, then I would have raged. And I know this about myself. So if anything happens like that, I know I have 3 or 4 sentences.
Before you flip the fuck out.
Before I go, please talk to her because I'm not talking to you anymore, and I'm walking away, right? There were times in my life where in that situation, I'd be the first one to throw a fist. I'd be the first one to start yelling and screaming and throwing things.
I can picture Parnel in the Walmart being like, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Is this fucking chick
I'm not talking to you.
I'm not talking.
Sorry, babe. Do you hear something? I'm not talking to you.
I would literally continue shopping, and if it got physical, then it got physical.
I don't think. And
I know. And listen, and I know that's incorrect. I know that's wrong to do, but that's just how my personality is. It would be half playing, half raging, at that point, right? I think what Devon did is commendable, first and foremost, right? Having those calm conversations. I think we have more of those calm conversations. We wouldn't be in the situation we are in Canada or in society right now, right? A lot of people forget that, other people have everything going on too. You never know what somebody else is going through, right? So if we're always calm and always collected and always speaking to somebody in a term and thinking that when they're speaking to us, there's no bad blood either. And I'll give you for instance for this. I borrowed some money from a guy. Right. And we had a little bit of a conversation about when I'm going to be paying it back. So he sent me a text and said, hey, man, listen, I put other people off to help you out. I don't want to be this guy, but is there any time I can get some money back at this and that? I said, listen, man, I said, yeah, sure. I will look at my budget and I'll look at my budget this weekend and I'll go from there. And he said, well, you said you were going to do that last week. I said, all I said was, I didn't get angry in this now. I was like, you know what, man? Honestly, I just forgot about it. I got crazy busy. I'm sorry. I'll look at it this weekend. He was like, okay, let's do that. There's a way to handle things. And this was through text, right? So there was no like,
there's no
inflection,
tonality.
no tone, no anything, right? So he could have been very well screaming at me.
Yeah.
And I could have been very well screaming at him if you just looked at the text. But I think because we're both people that know each other very well and we both know how we're going to react in a situation, there was nothing to really fight about. We just knew we were asking the direct questions because that's how we are.
Yeah.
Right? Had this been somebody I didn't know, I probably would have taken that as, yo, fuck you, give me my money.
Right.
Right?
And how effective is that as a tool now to get some kind of positive outcome?
It was great. Like I said, the conversation was really quick. It was to the point. We're both direct, and it was handled as far as I know, right?
Yeah.
So,
because there's a lot of emotions that come into play there, right? There's like this embarrassment that, oh shit, I don't have the money that I said I was going to have or whatever. And there's like frustration in your own situation for not being able to have the money. But then from his side, it's like, hey, well, listen, I got this. So he could be angry and frustrated too.
Exactly.
There's a lot of that
there's a
emotional
lot.
tension.
Not only that, me saying to him prior that, no, I will look at it, and then I didn't look at it. I'm embarrassed because fuck, I told him I was going to do something, I didn't do it, right? So I feel embarrassed. I'm like, well, fuck, let me try and sort this out, right? So, barring that, like I said, when you're speaking with somebody that I think it's better to give them the leeway to be like, okay, listen, man, like I know you're coming from a place of love. Let's figure this out, not from a place of anger.
Well, I think it's important to point out that it's not a bad thing to experience those emotions. Those emotions are necessary.
They're going to happen regardless.
Right? Yeah. Feeling bad about not paying your friend back that you care about is a natural, total fucking emotion. And you should feel those emotions.
Right.
But when you let those emotions influence your decision making in the way
on
that
how
you
to
react
respond,
to something,
right.
then that's when it becomes less effective in dealing with whatever the issue is.
And you alluded to something earlier in that that opener for that is you never have a clue what the other person's going through.
Exactly.
Right? And like I can approach a situation and I can come at it, calm or responsible, and it could be something minor. I mean, how often have you guys just like bumped into somebody that you knew or something, or like you're like, hey, do you want to hang out today? And it's like you get a fucking rage on just for like people just flip, right? You never know what the other person's going through. So if I were to come into maybe a conversation, a tough conversation, or a social stress or something like that, and I approach it with the immediate reaction of being off my game or being uncomposed, the chances of that situation escalating is so much higher, just because it's
absolutely
like you never know. Like I could come in and I might be just a little bit off my game, and it could get taken so wrong, and then people are flipping out. If I come at it composed, then at least if the other person flips out, it's easy for me to say, hey, dude, like,
yeah,
I'm having a chill conversation here. Like, let's actually address this properly.
You
and then
and
you
me,
open the door to saying, hey, you are overreacting.
Yeah, so why don't you bring it down a little bit?
Why don't you bring it down a little bit?
Yeah.
And then the ball's back in their court. So now 2 times I have been like calm, cool, collected. And if they keep coming back as uncalm, uncool, uncollected, right, then you have a choice to say, okay, either I'm going to participate in escalating this, or it's just going to be like, hey, you know what, let's do this another time.
Yeah, let's readdress it. I'm going to give you a situation with that, actually. And this is why I kind of want to have this conversation about composure today, is because a person that I know, she's going through some physical pain, and so that's affecting her emotionally. And there's a bunch of things going on, and family, and vehicle stuff, and whatever else, this and that. And she was almost taking it out on the world around her. I think she realized it, but she wasn't quite aware of it. So when she came to me and she was being just grumpy, just off her game, whatever else, I was like, hey, what's wrong? And she didn't want to talk about it. Okay, cool. 5 minutes later, hey, are you sure you're okay? What can I do to help you? Right? Nothing. 10 minutes later, okay, listen, we're talking about this now because there's a vibe in here that is not right for either of us, and we need to discuss this. And if you notice the very slight difference in how I address those things, the first is, hey, is there anything you want to talk about? No? Cool. Back off for 5 minutes, right? The next is, okay, how can I help you? Because now I know something's wrong, even without her saying, because saying nothing says a whole lot, right? So now I know something's wrong. How can I help you in getting over this? Whatever it is. You don't have to tell me what it is, but how can I help you? The third one is, okay, now this vibe is bad. and I'm feeling away, and we're gonna fucking address this. I gave you 2 opportunities.
Because what she's doing is, even by not saying anything, people will shut down all the time. You know, it's a de facto go-to response. Like, I don't want to talk about this, I'm shutting down. If that's impacting, you know, the conversation, or if that's impacting the vibe, you're the 50% of that interaction. Right? Now, if I were shutting down and be like, nah, fuck, I don't want to talk about it. And then it was still off, and then you be 3 times like, hey, what's going on? And now it's impacting your shit.
Then I have to address.
Right. Say, hey, I don't appreciate the vibe here. You know what? Like, either let's figure this out. You can get real with me. Right? If you don't want to get real with me, then let's chill another time.
Let's take it the whole other way. Like, what if I wasn't like, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? And she didn't say, okay, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, fine. 5 minutes later, I'm like, listen, bitch, what the fuck?
Right.
If you approach
Totally different.
completely different approach, right? Now, I know we're speaking to mostly males here, so you know, and I know guys kind of lose their temper in relationships because we really don't know what women want. We don't know what they need. We don't know what they want. We don't know what the hell's going through their head. Like, women think about things 20 times more than guys do.
My girlfriend will be mad at me about some shit that happened in her dream. Like, I slept with another chick in her dream, and then for like a week, she's like grumpy with me, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then she's like, oh, it was this stupid dream.
You were sleeping around.
Yeah.
Literally, I was just about to go there.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, even with things that we have no control over, and because men want to fix things, that's what we do. We want to step in. We want to fix things. Most of the time, it's just saying, hey, I'm here to listen to you. Vent on me all you want. We're supposed to be, you know, these strong guys that take all these emotions and not bottle them up, but be able to deal with them ourselves, right? So, you know, let her unload onto you.
Well, I really like the way that you handled it too, because that initial like, hey, what's going on, is like, listen, I know there's a vibe with you, there's something going on, and either you correct that and come back up to my level, or we'll deal with it so that we can rise back up to that place together. It offers her those opportunities, or that anybody that you're talking to, as a tool in any of those conversations to help
To elevate themselves first, without the help.
That. That's such a powerful
Yeah, and then the second one is offering the help, right? Because obviously they haven't got there to where they need to be, where I think they need to be yet.
Yeah.
Right? They haven't come up to the level yet. So here, let me offer my help to help you get up there. And the third is, okay, I'm not dealing with this. We're handling this.
Yeah.
Right. So you're gonna address this.
So
now.
there's another thing that you can do there too, because there are times where it's literally just, maybe it's not the time or place to dive into it, right? For example, there's another alternative where instead of saying, okay, we're dealing with this, we're talking about it, right? You can choose to let it go. You can choose to not let it bother you, and then you can be that, you know, that person who's showing up and being there and being, you know, positive and just being supportive without having to know what's going on. Because if you're showing up like that, right, say you're pissed off about something, you're like, no, dude, we're not talking about this right now. Like, say we're having a beer and they're like, we're not talking about this. I go, you know, do a couple, you know, test the waters a little bit. Hey, dude, like, this vibe is fucked up. Let's talk about this. You're like, no, like, actually, no. I can just say, okay, cool, I'm dropping it, and I'm choosing to then still be present, engaged, watching the game, and you are probably going to feed off of my energy a little bit because I just now am leading the way with how the vibe is going to go.
You know what's interesting is that, you know, in my previous relationships, I was never the guy that did that, right? I was the guy that, if you're cranky with me, well, fuck you, I'll be cranky too. I was never the guy to address things.
Did that work?
No, ever. Not once ever did it work.
How long have we all done that for?
Being
It's like, maybe this will work
emotionally
this
tied,
time.
right?
Yeah, being emotionally tied to another person. If they're feeling that way, well then fuck it, I'm gonna feel that way.
And then get grumpy at them, and then it's just back and forth, and this, you know, it stems again from open communication, right? If you have an open relationship, not an open relationship that way, but open communication in your relationship, you know, you should be able to discuss everything and anything under the sun, right? Like, for instance, I mean, we talk about whatever hell we're going to talk about here, right? I know I could talk to Devon about, I mean, I'm not going to go as far as I would have gone there. I can talk to Devon about anything. You know what I mean? And he's not going to judge me for whatever, right? So I have to take that. I've learned how to take that into my relationships. So, you know, it's difficult for me, and I'm literally have to step outside of myself to realize what I'm doing and how to correct that.
And that comes with experience and practice, and honestly, from having too many negative outcomes.
Right.
Saying, oh shit, this actually doesn't work. Because if you're pissed off about something, or like say Devon's pissed off about something, I'm like, hey dude, I'm here for you. You want to chat? And he's like, no. I'm like, okay.
Well, fuck
what
you.
the fuck is up, right?
Yeah.
Fucking, you know, like, tell me what's going on. And you're like, no, right? Now, you're going to get pissed off at me because I'm pushing and I'm digging. You're like, dude, I've said I don't want to talk about this. This guy or, you know, this girl or whatever keeps pushing. And now I'm going to get resentment towards them. And they're going to get resentment towards me because I'm not opening up. And they're like, why doesn't he trust me enough to know what's going on? When in reality, I could be pissed off because someone just cut me off on the road. It could have absolutely nothing to do with anything going on between us, and now it's a problem where neither of us know what's happening.
Yeah, and then you get into the you know, the little tiffs here and there. You know, the smallest thing. You know, especially in a relationship, you guys know this. You know, let's say I love a clean kitchen. I love making my bed in the morning. When I come home, I want a fucking clean ass kitchen. I want my bed made, right? And so I make sure and do that. If I come home and let's say somebody stayed at my place and there's, you know, she's been cooking all day and the kitchen's a mess and whatever else, you know, I'm stepping out of myself and going, okay, you know what? She worked her ass off today to make this great meal for me. I'm not going to get upset that my kitchen's a mess, even though that's what I like. And then she took a nap, you know, at one time, or the dog was on the bed, whatever it was, right? And the bed's a little messed up, or there's pillows on the couch, whatever it is. I have to sit back and go, okay, I know what I like, but I also know that she put out all this effort to try to please me in her own way. So I have to accept her apology or her way of treating me or her affection towards me as this is how she shows affection. I need to
there was a lot of keys in that. I like my kitchen clean, which means you make sure your kitchen is clean.
Yeah.
So here's the
That's
question.
it, right?
And I do it.
My bed made.
Remember, I told you I do that stuff too.
That's not her responsibility.
Nope, it's
now,
not.
obviously, if you have somebody in your life that's fucking, you know, not respectful of you and intentionally just leaving messes behind, there's a cause for an examination there. But that was a huge thing. So I was raised like super old school, like, you know, wife stays home, cooks, cleans, takes care of the kids, man goes out.
As it should be.
Brings home the bacon, whatever the fuck. It's
I just had to get it out.
I've had a lot of relationships where I tried to make that the way the relationship was.
Right.
But it never worked out because there was always some level of resentment because of my expectations of what that person should be doing.
That's what you got.
All right. I can't drink that one. Can I drink that one?
Yeah, you can drink anything that's in there.
There's a
Palm Bay vodka soda.
Oh, you know what? No, here, bro.
No, I'll take this instead.
All right, I'll have the beer then.
Beauty.
There's another one up there. You want one?
You got two already.
Sorry.
I'm still.
So that's the question though. So say you're living with your girl, you have a roommate, right? I like the place cleaner than the other person does. Does that make it my responsibility to keep it clean, or does that create bad habits where it's now I'm potentially getting taken advantage of because, lo and behold, the house is always clean?
I'm a firm believer of
And
you
there's only
can't
one
be
person
taken
doing the thing.
advantage of.
So
How do you allow that to happen by not establishing boundaries? That's
How many times can we talk about boundaries?
That's the
every
punchline,
episode.
right?
Every episode. Set clear boundaries.
You know what, Devon, and both of you guys touched on a good point, right? If I'm claiming my space as mine and I like things done a certain way, I'm going to do them. I'm not going to impart my judgment or my characteristics onto somebody else and have them perform a task that I would rather do.
But you also trust that that person respects you enough to manage that household or that situation to some level of a higher expectation.
But I also know that she has expectations in a relationship, whereas, you know, if she, like, we have rules. If I'm cooking, she's cleaning. If whatever the situation is, right? So, you know, I know that she doesn't do these things on purpose. She's a messier cook than I am because I have a red seal and I've worked in kitchens pretty much damn near all my life. I know how to fucking keep a clean station.
I'm the same fucking way, dude.
Right?
Put the mess away before it's done.
And I know this is her process as she's a creative girl, so she's going to do her thing the way she does it. It's not going to be like me. And I've learned how to, I used to hover over and be like, you're not doing it right. You're not doing this right. And you know what?
You didn't cut those red peppers thin enough. Those are not julienne.
It drove
julienne enough.
It drove me crazy, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop because I couldn't get past this blockage in my head saying it has to be done this way or it's not correct.
And how did that affect both you and your relationship with her?
The negative or the positive one? Like if I hover?
Yeah, on the you always being there trying to correct every mistake and fix everything.
The
like
worst
how did
fucking
that
thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like it's not my job to fix a female. It's my job to accept them how they come and work on things and speak about things in a way that we both respect each other.
And that's not just applicable to female relationships, that's all relationships.
Every relationship. Right? So I've noticed, and like I said, this all stems back from my fiance leaving and all this stuff, right? It's me having to deal with my own bullshit and realizing how fucking nasty of a person I really was in relationships.
Yeah.
Right? I know it's tough for guys to say, but we're all fucking assholes.
That's radical self-awareness, though. The minute that you take responsibility for the shit that you do, you take all of your fucking power back.
The problem
you know what?
is-
My house is clean because I like it that way. And I make it that way.
And the problem is that for us to realize that we're doing this and these are the reasons that we don't have these relationships anymore and this and that is that there has to be conversations, not only like this, but conversations with yourself in the mirror. You know, we talk to people all the goddamn time, but when's the last time you actually had a conversation with yourself to realize what you're doing? To realize that some bullshit that may have affected everything else in your life is affecting you just as much. The negative self-talk is garbage, right? I do self-deprecating humor all the time, but that's because I know it's a joke. I know it's comedy. I know I don't actually think like that, right?
That's 8 Mile Eminem getting ahead of everybody's insults. That's
Exactly.
fine.
And that comes with being a public figure and having
recognizing your
all
own
this negative shit.
faults. Yeah. Right.
Right. But I mean, there's things that we do, and to hold your composure in doing these things, I realized I wasn't being who I thought I was. I was being who I was hoping to be.
You're holding yourself to an ideal, which is not realistic.
Right. So I had to tone it down a bit, and I had to be like, listen, okay, you're not this guy. You're actually this guy, but you want to be this guy. But if you want to be this guy, you have to stop acting like this guy.
For sure. There's so much awareness there. And it's crazy, you know, and let's stay on the clean house thing, because it's easy to say, I like a clean house, so I clean my house. When it's messy from whoever else, I clean up their mess, and then get pissed off because now I'm doing more work than I feel like I should. And instead of approaching that and saying, hey,
you don't have the right to be pissed off.
You have no right. I have no right to be pissed off because I chose to put the shit away. Mm-hmm. And then you can either say, hey, I'm going to continue putting the shit away and be okay with it. Or, hey, buddy, or hey, babe, let's figure out where is some common ground here to meet. I know that we have a different set of standards. Mm-hmm. I know that we put value on different things, right? Maybe, you know, for me, I hate folding laundry. Mm-hmm. I absolutely hate folding laundry. Mm-hmm. I have absolutely personally no problem if I have the dryer is full of clothes and t-shirts and stuff, and the laundry basket is full. I'm like, I will probably put the t-shirts away as I'm like, oh, open it up. I'm like, oh shit, I'm washing more clothes. I need to put these away. When I wake up in the morning, I make my bed. It's like I have to make my bed right away. Yeah. I come home, I like to have, the sink is empty. I like to have the dishes put away and stuff. You know, there's certain things that I put a lot of value in. And then there's other people, it's like, then I need to have my clothes put away perfectly every time.
And their sink is overflowing.
You know what? We have to address this, okay? I know we've said it enough, but I'm going to say it pretty much every goddamn episode.
Does this have to do with the morning pee?
No. It does not.
I hear there's a website, though.
There is a website, and there's a shop now, and there's a store, and it's the first time I'm ever mentioning it, so perfect. Thanks, I love that.
I mentioned it for you.
Appreciate that. themorningpea.com/shop, or just themorningpea.
There it is.
P.com. Like I said, we've mentioned this tons of times, me especially. Get up in the morning and make your fucking bed. I don't care if you want to do it or don't, fucking do it. You will, trust me, after a week of doing it, not even a week, after 2 days of doing it, you'll realize that it's the best thing for your mindset.
It's funny, I've been moving all week, and so the first bit of the week was packing, and then it was moving, then it was unpacking, and so today I ended up getting up early, right? It was good. I'm doing my morning. I got up, I made my bed, I did everything I needed to do, I worked out, got everything kind of dialed to the point that I needed to. I meditated, I read for a little bit, and then I showered, and I was like, man, I have extra time here, and I'm white. I'm exhausted. I'm like, I have an extra 45 minutes.
Take a nap.
I wanted to crawl right back into bed, and it was like, this is like 7:30 in the morning, and I already done everything. And I looked at my bed, and I was like, I can't literally made my bed, and so I napped on the couch for half an hour.
You know what's funny as shit is that this morning. So I got up at 4:30 this morning, no alarm. I was fucking wide awake. My body wouldn't sleep. I got up. I did like 2 hours of writing, maybe an hour and a half of writing, and then. Or tried to do an hour and a half of writing. I literally sat in front of my fucking laptop and didn't type more than 3 words because I just, for some reason, my brain wasn't working. 6:30 rolls around. I'm like, well, I gotta leave at 7:30. Head to work. Fuck it, man. I'm taking a fucking nap. Laid on the couch, no pillow, no blanket, just fucking closed my eyes. And I didn't really nap. I fell into that like half.
That meditative Zen zone?
Yeah, okay, this is what I'm going to accomplish today. This is what I'm going to do next week. This is what I have to accomplish here. This is how I have to treat this and that, you know, and going through just a bunch of scenarios in my head. And it felt like I got more rest in that, you know, less than an hour I was doing that than the whole 8 hours I slept.
Did you get most of the stuff done that you would kind of, because it's a visualization process, so what you're doing, right? Did you get most of that stuff done? I bet you went through your day today composed. My
day was amazing today. Yeah, and this happened yesterday as well. So in case people don't know, I own a painting company as well, and we sub out new houses, this and that, and there was about 1,000 square foot house, and usually it takes me 2.5 days to finish it myself. Yesterday I woke up kind of with the same mindset, and I got the house done in 9 hours. You know what I mean? Like it was just the mindset of, okay, I'm not going to take this cigarette break. I'm actually going to do all this cutting and rolling before I fucking go out. Like it was just a complete mindset switch. It was the weirdest thing because I didn't even realize it happened. It just happened. I got the site, and the guy I contract from, he was talking. I'm like, all right, man, I'm gonna go fucking start scrubbing walls. Like I started fucking sanding walls and this and that. And he's like, he's talking with one of his employees, and he's like, holy fuck, Parnel's on a mission today. Like, because if I sit there and talk, I'm sitting there for 2 hours talking to these guys instead of doing 2 hours of work.
Just talking feels fucking great.
Right, especially in the morning, you're having a coffee and a smoke and this and that, right?
Getting the job done and getting paid.
Yeah.
Right,
That also feels great.
Right. But this goes to composure, right? Whereas I knew if I was going to sit there and talk for 2 hours, I wasn't going to get this done. But I also knew that I couldn't lose my cool in this conversation. I had to kind of get away from the conversation as soon as I could and go start to work. But I also knew that once I started working, it doesn't matter how I broke off this conversation, because the guy I'm contracting from was like, fuck this. Why am I talking when he's working? So there's a thing there, right? And then that switch in my head, as soon as, and it was weird because it's the outside affirmation where he's like, holy fuck, he's on a mission today, was like, oh shit, I didn't realize that. But yeah, I guess I fucking am.
People notice it. And when you are somebody who shows up and you're present and you're doing the thing, and I thought about this today. Like I've my week, I'm wiped. I'm exhausted.
I'm sweating. It's fucking 30 degrees in here. Man, fuck this hat.
All day today, I was like, man, I don't know if I want to or feel the need to go do this episode tonight. And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, and you know what? I'm like, realistically, what's the alternative? Right? I'm like, I can probably go and get some stuff done. I'm like, is that a dire need to get done? No. I can still go do this. I can still show up. I can still be present. Still get everything done that needs to get done, so that when I get home today, instead of saying, oh man, I feel like I slacked off and I feel like I did not get done what needed to get done. I feel like I didn't hammer the project that needed to get done. Now, even halfway through the episode, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm really happy that I'm here.
You know what? I think we talk about this a lot, and it's good to kind of reiterate that, let's take working out, for example, or doing this podcast or doing something you love to do. The hardest part is starting. For sure. Once I'm at the gym, once I'm lifting my first weight, I'm like, I'm fucking good. Let's fucking do it.
So pumped you're there.
So, even just you saying that, we had a conversation on the patio having a cigarette just before this episode, and you're like, man, I could have just been like, guys, fuck, I don't want to do it tonight. And I was like, you know what, man, I'd probably been like, cool, let's not do it. We'll fucking reschedule. But because you posted, hey guys, we're still good for tonight, right? And I took, and again, back to the text and taking context, I was like, hey, he's fucking excited to do it.
Yeah.
Not knowing that he's drained. I'm like, yeah, dope, I'm in. Even when Devon was like, yeah, I'm good to go. Let's go. And then so seeing you guys hyped about something, even though I don't want to do something, not knowing you guys don't want to do it either, I'm like, okay, they're hyped for it. Let's go.
All it takes is one person, because honestly, it's so easy, like take group projects for anything. All it takes is one person to set the tone of, hey, I don't want to do this. And now immediately it changes the vibe for everybody.
But we wouldn't be Alpha Project if we did that here.
No, that's why we're here.
Mm-hmm. So I got a question then. How do you break that attachment to the emotional response?
Don't.
Everybody has that fucking whatever trigger, and you just respond emotionally instead of responding emotionally and maintaining the composure. So, how did you break that for yourself?
So I don't. I internalize the rage I have for the response I want to have. But I logically think about it. I'm able to cut off my emotions from my brain, but I'm able to think about the emotions I want to have and analyze what I want to say first. It's taking that pause, and this is probably what you're going to go to too. If somebody says something to you that you're frustrated with, you take a mental step back and you go, okay. You say, is this coming from a place of love, a place of anger, a place of frustration, a place of whatever? And you go, okay, how do I respond? Well, the best response is to address whatever they're saying, say, I hear you, right? And let's see how we can move forward in working this out. Instead of, fuck you, I don't like what you're saying to me, how dare you hurt my feelings,
yeah.
Right? Because all we're dealing with is feelings, right? And emotions and learning how to deal with those things. And if you can deal with those internally first, then it won't show externally. Even if you get, like, what do they call it, those microaggression faces, where you get fucking mad for a second?
Right.
Even that, most people won't notice those things. Right, so even if that comes across your face, don't verbalize it though. You have to be able to compose yourself in a way where no matter what if somebody can be screaming in front of my face, right? I've had this happen. People are screaming in front of my face, and you have to go, okay, what is their intent? Why do they feel like this? And how can I address this? Now, you can take I've done both things. I've gone the hate way and I've gone the love way. Right? It's just all in the moment you have to decide for yourself how you're going to handle that issue.
I am better at it sometimes than others. I mean, obviously, like if I'm out, drinking or something, it's so much easier to just, snap decisions, right? So right, it happens.
Yeah.
I have gotten significantly better over it. I think that it's a skill that takes a lot of practice.
I can't see you getting angry, man. I've been out with you a few times. You're just happy dude, just like me.
If y'all want to go out and party, I'm a very happy person to be around.
Yeah, man, he's fucking great to party with.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's something that you worked really hard to culminate. Is that the right word I'm thinking of?
Honestly, though, picture it like this. Your life, every single day, is just a bunch of different decisions back to back to back. Like, picture it like your whole life is a live-action Goosebumps book.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like, literally.
A choose-your-own-adventure book.
Your life is literally a choose-your-own-adventure. And you can go through, and I mean, have the experiences. Make some bad choices. Make some good choices. Figure out which ones worked and which ones didn't.
Just make sure the good outweigh the bad.
So this is it. So because honestly, there's going to be similar situations. Every situation is a little bit different. However, for the most part, you can categorize stuff as, hey, this is similar to this. In the past, this is how it worked out, right? Do I want that same result or do I want a different result? So now, like, your life is a Goosebumps book. Like, choose your own adventure, man. So you can say, okay, whatever decision needs to be made right now, big, small, whatever, choose which outcome you want. Take a second, and you're right.
Yes,
pause.
you have to pause.
Take a second and say, what is the outcome that I want here? How do I want this to go down?
You know what? I think the emotional reaction to somebody speaking to you, whether that's good or bad, whatever emotion you're having to it, the emotional reaction you're having is something ingrained in us, right? Fight or flight, right? Nature and nurture, right? So if it's somebody I love and I respect, and by the way, I mean, my friends probably fucking hate me so much because I say I love you so much goddamn times to everybody, right? Like when I'm talking to you, I love you. When I'm saying goodbye, I love you. I love you, I'll talk to you later. You know what I mean? I give hugs, all that shit. But anyways, and I do that on purpose because I want them to know that if there's ever something we need to talk about, then I love you. No matter what you say to me, I still love you. We can handle whatever issue you have.
Relationship is more important than this issue.
Yeah, exactly. There's no bigger problem to face that we cannot face together.
Right.
If someone is focusing on the problem and not the importance of the relationship, there's a very strong possibility that they're not very invested
The relationship isn't important.
Now listen, you and I have been talking for 40 minutes and not letting Devon say one word.
That's because he just recorded or just clipped the last episode. And
I know, he was 80% in the last episode. I want to give him a chance to give him a little monologue here.
No, I don't. That's fine.
No, I don't want it. I don't want it. Because here's why. It's because over the past 2 years, you and I have done a lot of business, met a lot of people, done a lot of things together. And I call you're my robot. You're the fucking robot. I call you that all the time. You're a fucking robot, right?
Beep. Borp.
In meetings, it's data, it's points, it's fucking doof. No strang from the fucking from the manuscript, right? However, I have noticed he has points of frustration that I'm not sure if he notices. I'm sure he does, but he won't let anybody else notice, right? I notice them because I just know who he is and how he normally speaks and how he normally react, right? And I've gotten a lot of cues from him. So I want you to explain how you get past the emotion right off the bat, because you do this very quickly. You have your emotion and you go, okay, that's not how to handle it. This is how I have to do it. And you get back into robot mode. So I want to know how you go from taking emotion out of a conversation and dealing with what needs to be dealt with. And then also the times where, because you've done this too and don't think you have, not dealing with the things, especially in business, not dealing with the pertinent conversations that need to be had at that moment.
So that's a really easy one. The not dealing with the shit is because I'm not ready to.
Okay.
But that also stems from the way that I want to deal with something. Mm-hmm. So my dad, when I was younger, told me that as you continue to live your life, as you grow up, and you're always growing up, so don't think that there's going to be a destination here. You're always growing up, and when you grow up, you're always going to be designing yourself and redesigning yourself and trying to be something and be somebody what you think you are. And I remember saying this, I'm not who you think I am.
Yeah.
I'm not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Yep.
And so that principle, and shout out Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power, fucking changed my life.
Fuck that, 50 Laws of Power.
Yeah. one of the really big things about giving away your power is allowing somebody to have those emotions and then manipulate those emotions. And when you let those emotions drive you, somebody else can steer at any point in time. And if you want to have any level of control over your life, giving that away isn't going to help. So that was a huge frame for me.
So I'm going to cut you off, but I am going to. I know you say you don't want to deal with some things because you're just not ready to deal with that.
Yeah.
You and I had a conversation over text first today, and then we had a conversation on the phone today about, and the way I approached it, I thought I was being a little too harsh. I'm not sure how you took it.
I was like, no, you're probably right. I was like literally sitting there. I was like, I'm pretty sure he's right.
Yeah, and but I didn't know because obviously I was over text, no context. But I knew who you were. I knew who you because you know how I am and you know how I approach topics. So you know I'm going to approach things as blunt as possible. Yeah. Right. And I knew, okay, let me just add this little thing. Also, I was like, I'm not taking a shot at you. I just think whatever else it was, right?
Right.
But and usually I wouldn't include that with anybody else.
So it's so weird because as an observation of mine, I've always noticed how everybody around me treats me softer than they treat everybody else.
Not me.
So no, this is a perfect example of this. So I'm a very fucking resilient guy. I've been through a lot of shit, and I am where I am because of it, and I absolutely appreciate all of my life experiences up until this point. But the way that I interact with people, I do it very softly and very gently, and that might make them think that I'm a meek-mannered person. And so you being a very, very abrasive kind of person, blunt, to the point, sometimes loud and obnoxious, sometimes over the top.
All the time.
Most of the time. So somebody like you might think that you overdid it when you're like, dude, I don't think this is working. All these things are trash. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But then you had to, and I don't know why you had to, because I'm not soft. Dude, I get it. They're not working. It's not working. I'm totally fucking good.
Here's why.
But then you had to backtrack and be like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you.
I didn't say sorry, by the way.
And it wasn't that I was hurt at all. And so this was as an observation. I find that really interesting.
It's because I respect you. I respect our relationship. I respect our business partnership.
Yeah.
The last thing that I need, the last thing you need, the last thing you want and I want is for something to fall apart because of no context.
Right, because of a communication breakdown or something like that.
So for me,
erring on the side of caution serves us more than anything else.
I wanted to be sure that you knew I wasn't coming from a place of anger. This is just, hey, it's business, and you knew. I knew you knew it was business, but I also wanted to let you know that, hey, I still love you. It doesn't matter.
So this kind of comes back to the way I respond to things and why you see the robot version of me. This is like,
no, everybody sees the robot.
That pause and take a moment. Because I'm constantly designing myself. I'm constantly trying to be the guy that I think I want to be. So I took a page out of Steve's book too, because I love the way that, and we've talked about this, the way that you lead the energy. I just find that super admirable. And so whenever something happens, like the Walmart girl, for example, I stop for a second and I'm like, okay, the guy that I want to be, this amazing superhero fucking can fly and leap over tall buildings guy, how the fuck would he handle it? And it's a very quick and momentary thought. And I don't have some grandiose idea of that I'm fucking better than everybody. I just want to be the best I can. And so in that moment, I take that really quick second of reflection and go, how would that dude respond? Well, first of all, he's not going to kick a fucking cart over because that would be immature.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah. Second of all, he's probably not going to raise his voice. So I got to keep my voice at a calm, even timbre. Okay, what's next? Well, maybe I should pay attention to what the fuck she said so that I can respond accordingly. So if she wants me to leave, then I'll leave. But that's not what she said. She said that there are alternatives. And I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Which is probably something that she never gets. Being heard.
She probably gets
in those moments.
Fuck your alternatives. I'm here now. Fuck it. I'm not wearing a fucking mask. Fuck you. I'm here.
The shit that gets shoveled on her all fucking day. So I come from a place now of empathy. I'm like, I feel for you. So how do I respond in a way that both respects you and gets me what the fuck I want, which is just to finish my grocery order and go home.
Yeah.
Incident free. So I go through those processes, but it's very quick, right? Because I'm well practiced now. And in those moments, and go back to that day in the room, dude. I remember sitting there like ready to fucking rage on that girl because I was like, I can't believe you're saying this shit to me. But that's not how I responded. That's not what came out. What came out was like, you know what? If we're not on the same page, that's cool. Off we go.
It came out afterwards with our conversation.
Right, because I trust you.
Exactly.
And to me, that was a safe space
Yeah,
for me
absolutely.
to let that frustration out.
Absolutely. I expected that.
Which is another really valuable tool that I've kind of uncovered. And again, I point back at that book, The 48 Laws of Power. It really helped me. And Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life.
Nice. Absolutely
Both
perfect.
of those fucking books really made a huge difference in my life, and I really try to practice these things. I think when you guys talk about composure, I think about Leonardo DiCaprio in The Great Gatsby, when him and the other man are in the room and they're having an argument, and the girl that he is trying to woo is also in that room, and she's struggling between making a decision between Leo and the other douchebag, and Leo loses his composure, and guess what? The douchebag wins.
You know what? Every time I think of composure, I think about Leonardo DiCaprio too, but I think about sitting on the fucking side of the door on Titanic and they're sitting there and there's so much fucking room and he just sinks to he dies. He dies.
comment.
He could have jumped onto that fucking thing.
No comment.
That's composure, let me tell you. You could have survived, but instead,
You chose.
you chose to die.
That's why I was curious to find out, like, what tools did you guys use to help yourselves get to that place too? Because I noticed both of you are very powerful when it comes to those situations.
Go ahead.
I really just want to reiterate the fact, because, you know, I also do that, you know, and now that you brought awareness to that, I'm recognizing that I do it more than I even was aware of, is recognizing, you know, who am I, who are my mentors? Who am I idolizing right now? Who would I like to be more like? And how would that person handle the situation? I do that all the time.
You know what? I try to do that, but here's the point. Here's my problem, is that there's nobody else that I would rather be.
You're you.
I'm me. You're you. Steve's Steve. I understand the ego involved in this, in me saying there's nobody greater than myself. I understand that. But it's a mindset I have to have for me to improve myself. I can model other people.
It's a protection thing.
I can model your work ethic.
Yeah.
Or I can model Steve's physical abilities. Right? Or how we got there. I can model that and I can improve myself. But I'm never looking to somebody saying what would they do in this situation? How can I be better like them? I don't say like them. I said, how can I be better? Because I think the point we're missing here is that
the guy that I want to be, how would he react?
the guy
to
that I want to
sure.
be, the guy that I want to be, the person. How is the best Parnel going to handle
And
it?
sure as fuck, over time, if you stay consistent on that path, how would the guy I want to be react in this situation? And then you emulate that.
You're going to pave new pathways in your
Over
brain.
time,
You're going to happen.
you actually
Right.
become that person.
For sure.
You become the thing that, or the guy, or the man or woman,
Listen,
or whoever the fuck that you want to be, just by having those pauses and choosing that.
Neurolinguistic programming will teach us first and foremost, if you want something to be easy, repeat it. Repeat it often enough that it becomes second nature to you, right?
Right.
If NLP will also tell us if you want to change something, stop doing the thing that you want to change first and foremost, and then do something within its place. It's the same thing with addiction, right? It was interesting. I remember being addicted to cocaine and everything. Every time I got frustrated, shit like that, I would just do coke, right?
Yeah.
That turned into, after I got arrested, that turned into a workout addiction. Every time I got frustrated, I'm gonna go run. I'm gonna go work out, right? That is now transformed into, if I'm getting frustrated, whatever's happening, and I need some relief, it's sex.
Man.
Now none of these are healthy.
Right.
In the broadest sense of the term, right? You can, too much of anything, right, will turn you crazy. I haven't learned to deal with my frustrations in a way that serves me to better myself. I have to have a physical release of tension first.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Meditation changed that a big time for me. This idea, check this out. I want
Bitch,
that
give my
beer.
fucking drink back.
I want that beer.
Okay.
This is my want. I want that beer. I'm never going to be able to pick it up because I want.
Please don't drop it. Drop it in my hand.
As soon as I let it go,
Thanks.
I free myself to have the thing I want. But you have to let go of that want before you can do it.
And this is the craziest thing too. I respect so much that you said that. Meditation, honestly, is the biggest thing that life daily change that I've made. And it's as easy when you're like, I need a release of something. You just told yourself the answer. Your release of something is literally releasing it.
Yeah.
Releasing just everything. And saying, And it's easy. It's cliche to say, just don't care about it. It's just let it go.
Yeah.
And when you can wrap your head around the concept of letting it go, so, going back to the question of how am I able to, just
To let it go.
let it go. Honestly, it's just being okay with every outcome.
Yeah, I understand.
Maybe they're not ideal outcomes. Being okay with them.
My biggest thing is, I know I said it has to be a release of something. I know that if you let's take it like this. There's been studies on amputees from war vet amputees, right? Who still feel the pain of their hand, right? So what you would do is you would take a box, just a box, normal box, shoe box, whatever, divide it in two with a cardboard box or a cardboard something or other with a mirror on one side with the hand that they can use, right? What they would do is have two holes. You put two hands in, right?
And it looks to them as if he has the other hand.
It looks to them like he has two hands because of the mirror.
Right.
They say squeeze your right hand as hard as you can, and squeeze your left hand as hard as you can. And they do it, and they say, now release it. And they release. And there's been times where guys have been literally crippled, their back's all fucked up, their legs are all fucked up, everything, right? And just by releasing the tension and having that mind, the mind released tension is where all of it goes, right? Everything just releases, everything goes, not numb, but everything, all the pressure's off. So I've learned how to do this with my mind now.
Right. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
Right.
And at first, it's going to be super fucking frustrating because you don't
sucks.
exactly know what you're looking for.
Again, yeah.
But inevitably, you tap into this thing where it's like, I love the visualizations.
Right.
So when I'm going through my meditative processes, I feel this tension or whatever, I start with, I imagine what it would feel like if some higher power force was to just kind of be poured over me. And when that happens, all of the tension in my body is just going to be rinsed off. It's like a bucket of water, basically, right? But however you want to visualize it, and then you just visualize that happening, and as it's going through your body, you actually feel this tension leave you, and it's fucking life altering. Because in those moments you realize like you had the power all along, and it didn't take you having to punch a hole in a wall or lift 1,000,000 pounds of fucking weights or do three lines of fucking drugs or whatever the fuck it is.
And bringing it back,
I totally just sounded like an idiot.
Bringing it back to composure and mindset and how to get there, right? Like I'll go back to the very beginning of this podcast, right? We're having those conversations with people and learning how to deal with them. And being able to open up and communicate, right? My biggest block was not being able to communicate. So I had to, you have to realize, first of all, what you're doing incorrectly.
Yeah.
Then you have to go, okay, how do I correct this? Right? And then you have to take the first step and be like, okay, so you're in this situation now, you can either close off or you could address it. How do you address it?
Yeah.
And the more, like you said, like you guys were saying, the more times you do it, the more times you're in those situations, the more times it's going to be easier and easier and easier for you to address, right? We're literally talking about March. We're middle of March right now, right? It's literally taken me 2.5 months to get to the point of, hey, are you okay? What can I do to help you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know something's wrong. Let's get it.
Being the receiver of that, I can honestly say being the receiver of that, there's such a level of genuineness and authenticity in the way that you do it as well, which makes a huge fucking difference.
And my way may not be the best way, but that's how I'm attacking it now. If it worked this time, so it's going to work next time.
Sometimes to help ourselves, we need to help others, and that means taking the focus off of you and how you're feeling and the shit that you're going through, and then observing the bullshit that's going on externally. And when you realize that your shit ain't nearly as bad as the other shit, and trust me, I don't care how fucking bad you think you got it, there's always something worse than that. So having that just kind of awakening or that mind opening or whatever, that observation of it changes the perspective dramatically.
How do you want to end this, man?
Bro, I think it's all just comes down to, I think it's really cool, just one big overarching thing when it comes to communicating with yourself or with other people. It has absolutely nothing to do with what I think I'm communicating. It has 100% everything to do with how I am conveying that.
And how they're going to receive it, and how they're going to portray that in their mind, and how they're going to, I guess, receive it. Yeah. All right. Cool. Perfect. Being composed is easier than you think it is. Just take a breath. take a step, just take that extra pause. And
Choose how you
realize
want
that
it to end up.
You don't need to fly. Like I said, the biggest thing we do is just talk without thinking first.
Ask that question. How would the guy I want to be?
What would Steve do?
What would Steve do?
What would Steve do?
Fuck both you hoes. See you on the next one.